Good morning, everyone. I'm Enrico Banfi. I'm Vice President Sales and Marketing for Alcatel Submarine Networks. So we are one of the leading companies that are in fact supplying, manufacturing, supply and install all the submarine cables worldwide, I would say. I work in France, ASN is a French company.
Thank you so much. Diego.
Good morning. My name is Diego Teot. I'm in charge of the international business for Retelit. Retelit is a company, is an infrastructure company working with two souls. One on the infrastructure itself, so we land and we operate submarine cable system. On the other hand, we operate on the software side of the digital transformation, working on Microsoft 365 and all the cloud stuff feeding the submarine cables.
Thank you. Franco.
Good morning, Franco Busso. I'm the Vice President Sales for Southern Europe and Italian country manager of Infinera. Infinera is a global supplier of optical solutions. Optical means metro access and obviously also submarine infrastructures.
Okay, Enrico.
And good morning, everyone. Enrico Bagnasco, CTO of Sparkle.
Thank you so much. And later on, we'll hear a keynote presentation for you. So thank you for that. So going virtually now, Rohitash.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Rohitash Bhaskar, and I am Senior Manager International Infrastructure at Batelco. I'm responsible for all the submarine cable, all the terrestrial cable investment, which connects Bahrain to globe. And before that, also, I have been part of 4 submarine cables, namely AE1, BBG, and most recently IAX and IEX. So 4 submarine cables, I have seen the journey, and now look forward to contribute in Batelco in the Middle East region.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Alessandro, please.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Alessandro Talotta. I'm a Managing Director of Interaction Italy. Interaction is a name that will no longer exist at the end of this year. It will be replaced by Digital Realty. So the company will be unique, will be Digital Realty is a US company. It's a global company that brings data together with companies and customers, and we offer the full spectrum of data centers, co-location, and interconnection solutions.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're talking about how submarine cables support the demand and the transformation trend. And to this, Enrico put together a very nice deck. I've seen it already, but I'm more than happy to see it for the second time. No, it's really, really good. And I think you're gonna take us through the market demand overview, the delivery challenges, and the need of end-to-end reliability, right? So if I may, please invite you to go to the stand and give us a presentation. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. And thank you for being here. It's very nice opportunity for me. Second time in a row. Last year, it was, also quite interesting opportunity because again, it was, at least for my case, the first live event after many, many months of being recruited into my room. So the social, flavor was interesting. Now we're getting more and more used to it again, but it's still a very nice opportunity. Now, today I'm going to tell a story which is actually a combination, it's a combination of a dream and of a nightmare, which is something everyone around this room feels and manages every day, but I wanted to make it very explicit and dig into it. So let's get on with it. So first of all, we have the dream part, which is on the left of the chart. This is one of the many charts that we all know well. And yesterday we had, a very in-depth presentation by Daniele and by many other speakers around the growth of the traffic. Now, whether we can debate whether the growth is doubling every year or more or less doubling every year. Of course, there are routes where it grows more, routes where it grows less. But the reality of things is that the growth of the traffic is very, very visible year over year. And it requires not just more capacity in terms of equipment, but of course, more capacity in terms of infrastructure. So the growth is here. Into this growth, the role of submarine cable is very more than relevant. You know, the data here shows 95% of international traffic carried by submarine cable. I actually don't know whether it's 95, 94, or 96, but still the point of the matter is that the vast majority, by far the vast majority, and it's true to say that without submarine cable, none of what we experience today will happen, because the terrestrial infrastructure by no means is able either today or in the future to be capable of this for many reasons. So the growth is here, the market wants more and more. And the other point, which I'll touch upon on the next slide, is that business and consumer are now taking for granted that the services are functioning, and they are functioning regularly. Okay, so the level of expectation of all the users, of all the customers, has grown over the years, and we said this many times. The pandemic gave everyone a real sense of the need of digital services, either for leisure or for work or for business or for you know, the thousands of applications we have. So on one hand, we have a very nice picture coming from the market that the service we sell are more and more wanted and more relevant, which is the perfect news for, you know, any one of us on the market to sell such service. On the right side, on the left side, sorry. Yeah, left side. I keep mixing up left and right. It's, I don't know, something in my brain probably. We have the nightmare, and the nightmare is indeed a perfect storm, to use a very common statement, you know, because probably the capability of the industry as a whole, from vendors, equipment vendors, infrastructure vendor, chipset, material, blah, blah, the whole value chain from raw material to the end of services, of infrastructure, sorry, is probably at a low, all-time low. To my memory, and I've been around for a number of years, I don't remember of such a situation as we are experiencing today. I really don't remember us being in such a trouble to build and complete infrastructure in time, on budget. Never over the last 20 years, let me say. And this results into delivery days that are moving every day and becoming longer and longer. Very unreliable plans, because you make a plan, you fix everything, and 10 days later, everything goes bananas again. So you have to, again, do it all over again. There are many actions to be taken. This is an end-to-end issue. It goes from chipset manufacturer, cable manufacturing, all the way to field delivery, installation, and so on. And just to recall a few of them, of course, chip shortage, which is affecting everything, everyone. But specifically on submarine cable, I really wanted to point out limited manufacturing capacity of cable, limited marine and field capacity for either route preparation or landing of laying of cable. So all the marine part is also very, very critical. We also see an increased complexity around, let me say in broad term, the permits we all need to achieve to do anything. And of course, the complexity of permits goes from very basic local administration matters that are more in the life of everyday life of everyone, to very geopolitical, complex geopolitical issues that really require a different level of escalation. It's not a company escalation, it becomes more a country level escalation, it becomes more a government level escalation, or intervention of diplomacy, of other tools we need to put in place to unlock situations that becomes blocking at the end. And of course, the energy cost increase, which is probably the latest ghost that appeared on the scene that was already well populated by other ghosts. And there, I don't think we don't know yet what will really come. You know, we know not good news are coming, whether are very bad or just bad, we don't know yet. So it's really a perfect storm. And again, to my memory, we've never been in such a stressful situation where the market wants more and values more what we sell, and our capability to produce it and sell it is so low, is so complex. Of course, when I said around the marine capability as an example, there is a wide combination of issues. It relates to ships, it relates to permits, it relates to the many things around this complicated field. I think it's very important that again, there is an understanding of how strategic this is. Now, by the way, whatever I say about submarine cables can be applied also to data center, as we said yesterday. But the combination of submarine and data center, I think it has become more and more understood by, let's say, the administration, the politicians, how this is a critical infrastructure that needs special care. It can't just be like a normal road work. So this is a point, and I really would like to hear now. I don't want to steal your job, but I want to
steal it.
Hear from, because I see ASN, I see Infinera, I see Retelit, I see Alessandro. I see all of you can give us. Really would like to know what are you doing to manage these challenges, because this is the point, because we at the end we package everything. So we get the sum of all your troubles, we get the sum of it. But it would be nice to understand how any one of you can try and solve their own troubles, okay? The other side of the coin, as I said, is that the services are not just more needed and more requested by the market, but all the customer, all level of customer, from the basic consumer watching movies on the iPad to the very top, administration or business company, bank, institution, whatever. I think reliability, end-to-end availability of the service. My point of view, as a CTO, I have a privilege to have a full view from planning to engineering to delivery to operation. If I see the biggest trouble we have to manage at the end are more related to end-to-end availability than anything else. What I mean is that, of course, we get customer complaint maybe for a poor performance, high packet loss, maybe long delivery. There are a range of many issues, but at the end, the end-to-end availability is the one where we get the most ferocious escalation, which is easy to understand, linked to the fact that those customers see the services as actually needed, and they can live for maybe sometimes with not such a top performance, but the fact that the service is run. So end-to-end availability calls for, of course, for protection, route diversification, site diversification, because we know that no matter how we can design a single site, make it as robust as possible, things happen. So probably this is one of the, in addition to growth of demand, diversification is one of the driver of the booming request we have on Submarine. I don't know the number of how many submarine cable projects are ongoing, but it's probably a very huge number worldwide, not just, of course, in specific areas. And I think, and I'm quite sure, that route diversification is one of the key of success for new submarine cable, not just more capacity, but new routes. And we, in Sparkle, we are very convinced of that, and we're trying to take a good care of these items. Here I have just a very short summary of what are the flagship projects we are working on. I mean, infrastructure project. Then there are many other projects that are more related to software transformation, digital transformation, but just we want to stay in infrastructure. And of course, we spoke many times about BlueMed and Blue Raman, which is in a way a very good example of how route diversification is applied and achieved in many areas. First of all, the landing in Genova as an alternative to Marseille. Second, the route through the Messina Strait instead of the Sicily Channel. The route through Israel to the Red Sea instead of the usual route through Egypt, and so on. So we believe this will then be valued because of this, and of course many other reasons. Then of course we have the activation of our services on Equiano, implemented by Google. We just acquired infrastructure on Monet as a way to protect our Cyprus cable and services on the Atlantic. Of course, a couple of years ago, we activated Curie on the Pacific as a very new express route from North to South America, but we are now ready to open the branch to Panama. And attached to the branch to Panama of Curie, we have then the hubs being implemented. A hub for us is really a combination of a neutral carrier exchange point, a co-location point, but also a data center for customers. So it's a really interesting hybrid combination. We've been deployed successfully. Panama hub is coming by the end of this year. We open in Tel Aviv. a couple of months ago. Of course, we are continuing our development in the hubs in the Mediterranean, in Greece, and in Italy mainly. So with all this on our plate, it's easy to see there are many things that can go wrong every day. And the bad news can come from any of the companies around the table. So I think I will stop here and leave it to you to open up for questions and maybe some solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very interesting, and trying and receiving a curveball from Enrico is always challenging. So I'll take that challenge, and I think the fellow panelists as well here and virtually. Alessandro and Reuters, you still there, guys?
Yes, sure. Here we are.
Yes, we are here.
Perfect. So do we have any questions from the audience, maybe for Enrico? You have been, again, very clear. Okay, do something for next year, something else, so that people say, what is he talking about? So clear. So talking about the submarines and how they support the digital transformation. Question for you, please. Diego, digital transformation, what are we talking about? What do you see from your angle, from your perspective around you? And what are the key drivers there? Please.
Easy answer is, of course, as Enrico said, submarine cable system are, from the logical point of view, a necessary condition for the digital transformation. What we are seeing now, I believe, we are at the edge of a new digital transformation, because until now we have moved from analog to digital static stuff, pictures, documents, processes, and so on. With what's going to happen now, where with autonomous vehicle or anything that is moving, so we are adding another dimension to the digital transformation that is going probably, by my standpoint of view, to increase the growth bandwidth number that we see. It was mentioned by Daniele that autonomous vehicle generate, I don't know how much data, I checked on the internet, is 4 terabytes per day. And there are not a lot of autonomous vehicle around. Adding another dimension to the analog digital conversion create an enormous amount of data that probably we as operator don't know, but there is someone that knows exactly how much, that are the OTTs, because they have the data that we are missing about the trends and what is really going on. Then there is another hidden contribution of submarine cable system to the digital transformation, that is the research and the development. At the end of the day, everything related to the submarine cable system, especially what ASN, Infinera, and Siena are doing, is related to have supercomputing power to transform the analog signal to digital. And they have enormous challenge in doing this fast, correct, and with as less as energy possible. The result of this technology are then applied in the real world, not only in the submarine cable system, but also in the production of ASICs for other industries that are further accelerating the digital industry. So as a submarine industry, we are core and propedeutic to the other industries, thank you to this research and software development, especially software development.
Okay, thank you, Diego. Franco, what is your angle on the digital transformation? What do you see?
I agree with Diego perspective in our side of the world, but also mentioning, coming back to what Daniele said yesterday, there is a part of the world which is Africa, which is South America, which is part of Asia, that is 2/3 worldwide population. They're still, for them, digital transformation means being connected, which is a different kind of stage from what we are. For that reason, for example, and it is a fact, the biggest investment at the moment on the subsea connection, which are, I think everybody, each one of us agrees on the fact that are a real backbone connecting a different continent, are going into Africa, because Africa is definitely compared to our, I mean, we're talking about vehicle without, let's say, guided by the internet, but they have much more, I would say, basic needs that need to be addressed and satisfied. But the numbers are huge. So it is clear that the submarine connections, the connection itself is a key element of the digital transformation for addressing our needs, which are on the top end, I would say, and also the needs of the rest of the world, the biggest part of the world, that is still aiming to have, let's say, some services that we take for granted. Part of the world is not there yet. So that's why we see big investments from the OTTs, but also from operators, from carriers like Sparkle, to reach this part of the world, because it's very extremely promising. It's part of the growth that we expect. And on the other side, I would say I totally agree with what Enrico said about the perfect storm we're living at the moment. I just would like to mention, yesterday I was on a call with it's one of the top executive of my company. It's not mine personally, but the head of the supply chain, because we are suffering like everybody else on some specific products. The fact that there is a shortage, which is where we are informed 2 weeks before the manufacturing date. And that means that you cannot meet your commitment to the customer. And because all the chain is impacted by a single component, in this case was an analog device from Texas Instruments. I'm not talking about not geopolitics, United States, Texas Instruments, analog component, not a rocket science, let's say, chipset. And then how do we address these kind of needs? By escalation. So we're doing the kind of fireman work every single day. Every single element of the chain of the procurement is addressing this kind of needs every single day, which means escalating, which means from the supplier, which means looking around in the brokers market where you can source the same component, paying much more because there is a lot of speculation in the market. Our cost, it is a fact, are growing, not only in Finera, but I would say everybody which is in this industry is suffering this kind of problem. On one side, and there is no, in reality, there is no, let's say, protection. There is no way to predict what is going to happen because really the information comes 2 weeks early. What we do as Infinera, and this is something that is giving, we believe, a kind of competitive advantage. For some components, we have our own, we are a vertical integrated company. That means that our core systems are designed and our core components are designed and manufactured in-house. So we control, I would say, part of our destiny. I'm not saying that we are perfect, not at all, but for some specific elements, and especially the components that fuel the capacity growth on the subsea cables is something that we manufacture from ourselves. And so far, we are not having many trouble, but this is a single product line. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the entire solution portfolio.
Okay, thank you. So let's see what the other operator in this around the table here, Reutash. What are you facing? What do you see the digital transformation? What does it mean for you?
Yeah, so as we have seen from the pandemic days, I think there has been a demand for the remote working or the hybrid working, and industry has no other option than to meet those demand and then digitally transformation, and that's why the demand has been driven. And demand for data is driving the technology trends, the kind of consumption that we see in terms of the social media, in terms of the metaverse, kind of new technologies that are coming, be it IoT, 5G, more video consumption is happening with at the personal level and at the business level as well, because there is a demand for the uniform communication channel so that in the real time collaboration can happen remotely in the real time basis from everywhere. And this collective demand is driving the demand for that infrastructure, and for that international connectivity is transposed into the submarine cable requirement as well. As I think it was clearly shown into the presentation as well, as for the international communication, 95%, what I believe, I think around 98%, we are dependent on the submarine cable only for the international connectivity, for the who can carry the voice and the data traffic. So that's why it is surely going to happen. And then another change that we have seen from the traditionally, I think earlier there was a demand of like low cost bandwidth kind of connectivity, but with the new trends, what we are saying, there's a demand for quality infrastructure, how we can reduce the latency by reducing the path or through the technology, using the new technology, because 5G is about the low latency only. And in terms of new applications, like in terms of augmented reality, virtual reality, emerging kind of system where the responsiveness is in real time, it is required, be it in the healthcare system, education system, entertainment system, or the gaming industry. There is a fast requirement of having more infrastructure and more reliable infrastructure. So diversity, low latency routes are, I think, which are driving the submarine cable industry. But as I think it was clearly highlighted in the presentation itself, the industry, in the last couple of decades, we have seen a wave kind of that comes. Suddenly there is a requirement of a lot of submarine cables, then the demand goes down, then suddenly there is a lot of demand. And this pandemic has kind of leapfrogged that kind of demand into the industry. At current stage, demand is very high. And because of the other geopolitical situations, because of rising fuel cost, or because of the rising inflation across the global, cost of submarine cable deployment has gone higher. So this is one of the challenges which all the operators and all the other OTT investors are also facing into the industry. I see that that both the challenges will be mitigated across the line, I think 2-3 years down the line, because industry or the global countries have already started working on how we can diversify and resolve the issue of the supply chain or the chip shortage. So they are try to address this situation. So I see that happening, but in the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to see that kind of challenge.
Okay, thank you. So let's see what Alessandro has to tell us from the data center landscape side. What is digital transformation for you, and where do you see the challenges actually?
Yeah, I just take what Enrico told us. And then I would use 2 words. One is collaboration, the other one is standard. So generally, I expect, as happened in the pandemic situation, that network operators, submarine cables, internet exchange, vendors, platform, and consultants and governments should collaborate as we have done during the pandemic, because now, as Enrico mentioned, the storm is continuing. This collaboration means we need to develop in a way in which we avoid to customize too much. So everyone has to understand that, for example, when we select the sites and then we are going to struggle with the permits, we buy equipment before having the certainty that the data center will fly. So in advance, we have to do a lot of things, and then our way of doing is let's have a standard design. Let's have everything done in a way in which I can, if this project go wrong, I can take all the things that I invested to and bring it to another place. So this is something that we are implementing to avoid, for example, the delay of the vendors of the vendor channel, and to also blind us in a way, put us in a situation where the risk is too high. So when we develop strategically our facilities, of course, we take in consideration that we cannot customize anymore as our customer wanted to have in the last years. They have to recognize and accept that developing globally means also and with the standards as much as possible, using standards so we can reduce costs, we can have a situation where we can operate better. We can educate our people, and all are working with us in a more easy way. So all these legacies, I think, has to be cancelled in the value chain. Last, I think, as Enrico said, we are putting a lots of efforts to reduce energy consumption, to make things more reliable, to increase the level of operations, SLAs, all those things. We are working daily and investing a lots of money to do it. But on the other side, I see that there is a very slow process of releasing permits, understanding how much we are contributing on the digital transformation. For example, without the collaboration, would not possible to organize what we have organized to serve the end customers, just to be connected to and make their life alive again. So these are things on which we are working daily, and we hope to succeed also convincing governments and people that decide and make law that we are the most important piece of the future of this global earth.
Thank you very much. So Enrico Banfi, I'm really curious to know, because some people say, yeah, I'm missing this chip, I'm missing this, I'm missing that, which is true. I mean, we saw this as well already coming as one of the effects of the pandemic, that the supply chain would, let's say, be cut or half or whatever. So how are you coping with this? And maybe you can bridge this as well into, let's say, how do you see what the digital transformation would be for Alcatel in this case, for you?
So we have heard quite a few very, very interesting things. It's impossible to disagree what have been said, especially by Enrico. We share the name, but and Alessandro as well, because there are facts that are, I would say, outside our control. The missing of some components, that is fine. However, we have a project that elapsed for maybe 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So from the time when the project is designed, from the time when the project is delivered. So we have some actions that we can do in the meantime. Yes, the chipset is an issue. In any case, the chipset are needed in a submarine system. I'm talking about the upgrade. Some companies here are more on the capacity side. We are in fact building the infrastructure. We see the issue in delivering tons of copper, steel, fibers that really cannot be procured in advance, cannot be stocked in advance. We are, if you think that one cable ship can bring 8,000 tons of cable, and you need maybe 3 cable ships to deliver a system, you can imagine the size of the volume of the material that need to be procured and planned. So what we are doing now from our side is that definitely we need to continue the cooperation that so far we have with all our customers in next planning. Is very true what Alessandro says. Sometimes we are delayed because most of the customers, some of the customers ask specific things that need to be developed for the project. And as the reliability, as was correctly said before, is the must, because the cable will be there for 25 years and will not be repaired, will not be changed. We want to have the maximum reliability in our products. A standardization would be really a key, because we can manufacture in a more standard way and not design fancy things that we are happy to do it. But we need to have this kind of development, takes time and resources. From my side, what we are doing, we are implementing an increase of our manufacturing capacity. The manufacturing capacity of cable means quite a lot of investment that we are doing. We have increased 33% our cable manufacturing capacity in the last couple of years. And when you consider that today, until the last cable consortium that we had with traditional operator, cable had 6-8 fiber pairs. Now we are going to 20-24 fiber pairs. It's not only the manufacturing capacity in terms of length that we have increased, but the components that we have to procure is quite significantly more. So our capacity is there. We have increased our cable ship. We own 7 cable ships now. We have increased. We have bought 2 more cable ships in the last year. So at the beginning of 2023, we will have 5 cable ships that are for installation and 2 for maintenance. And they're not enough. We need also to procure externally. So this is what we are doing to address this need. By the way, we are a green approach. The 2 cable ship will be really consuming 1/3 of the fuel that the other old generation had. A cable ship lasts for 40 years. The cable ship industry is like that. One ship need to live for a long time. So what we have now, the ships that we have now have engines and structure that were built in the 80s, in the 90s. So this new one will significantly improve the emission of gas. So we are having also this kind of approach. But again, there are other subjects that need, in fact, to be addressed, are not only to ISN. This we can do on our own, but we really need to look with our customer, and because our customers are partners. In fact, we need to address other issues that are beyond our control, permitting, authorization, and political matter that maybe we can discuss a little bit more later on this.
Okay, throwing another curveball at me. Thank you so much. So we were discussing now actually the challenges we're facing, right? And it's it sounds a little bit difficult or whatever. So let's go the other way around, because some of the gentlemen here already mentioned partnerships, working together. There are challenges as well, you know, to it. But I would like to talk about, let's say, the opportunities which we still have. Where does it lie? And maybe as well, and I can ask you, Diego, maybe to start, where to combine it with, let's say, strategic partnerships. How could it work? What does it mean? Where you know, where's the uplift?
First, why you need a strategic partnership? Because compared to the past, where the commissioner of the cable and the landing party and the backhaul provider were more or less the same, today, due to the increase of the fiber, the geopolitical complexity, it's very common that you have multiple subjects operating in the cable system. So you will have the builder, you will have the fiber owner, you will have the landing party that is starting to be another company not directly involved in the cable system. We are landing many cables. You will have the data center, because before data center and the CLS were combined on the beach, Mazzara example. So now what's going on with the new cables is that they land somewhere, but the traffic is happening, like for instance in the Genoa platform is happening at Equinix ML5. So you need a backhaul provider. And all these partners, the real challenge of all these partners is that is a very long marriage, because cable system industry compared to the other industries last for 25 years. Our friend here plan ships for 40 years. The rights of the infrastructure are for 25 years. So there is no magic bullet for the partnership, but one of the key important point when you build a partnership is transparency and cooperation that are not usually well understood. Meaning, if I work with ASN, they have to tell me if they are delayed because I have to manage the permits, or I have to manage with Comune di Genova when I'm going to open the conduits. Or there are other type of partnership that perhaps are not successful because of companies selfish, like there is a case that I can't go in details where one backhaul could be built just for all the system with scalability, and now you have some issue in scalability because each party built its own backhaul and now there are no more resources, and that's the other key that shall be addressed. There is no answer how to address the partnership, honestly speaking. In our case, one point of the partnership we have done landing the cable system, a part of the trust between the people doing this is sadly a massive legal work to sustain the 25 years partnership when most of the people that draft the contract and the agreement probably will not be there anymore to enforce.
They're in pension. They're in pension.
Yes, pension. Yeah. I was not. I was.
Then they're lying on. Then they are lying on the beach instead of seeing the cable landing there.
So yeah, a good legal framework, a good lawyer is a key person for a long-lasting partnership.
Okay. So, but one thing you mentioned is transparency.
Yes.
So that could be key for partnership. Enrico, Franco, I mean, guys, step in. What because Enrico, actually, you threw the curveball actually at the start. Hey guys, I have all the issues, but I would like that you solve your issues in-house and not put them all on my plate. I'm saying it a little bit, but sometimes it is what it is for the operator, I know. But where do you see that the strategic partnership can enhance actually the current situation?
I want to point out three things. Indeed, collaboration is one of the key. We said that. I agree with what's been said by Alessandro and the other comments. And the key for a successful collaboration is transparency among all the involved partners. Sometimes we have it, sometimes we not. Sometimes we give it, sometimes we not, by the way. But
no. That should not be the game. I'm transparent whenever I want to. I think this should not be the key. So, I know you're showing us the current situation.
So collaboration is one of the way out. We said that, and transparency is the ingredient to make it work. A second word that I want to point out was put on the table by Alessandro, and that is, I would say, awareness. In particular, make our lawmaking bodies, administration, either local or central administration, be much more aware of the strategic relevance of what we do, not because we like to be strategic, but because it's actually true. And, you know, as been said yesterday, telecom industry as a whole, today we speak about cables, we spoke about data center, but anyway, this industry has been always very much in the background. Nobody knew, or nobody really cared about what we do, except maybe when they want to ask for billions of euros for 5G licenses once every 3-5 years.
Then they know how to find us. Then they know immediately how to find us.
Now, of course, we don't need to. I don't pretend that everybody knows all the issues about Novec gas, about fiber 24 or 20 cables, about landing station. That's not the point. The point is to make the decision makers aware that this is just as critical and as strategic as electricity, power in general, water, which is the other, probably the next big war will be around water. So and there's no way out. It's not that you can decide to go back to the 70s and so on. Anyway, so I think with you know, in the good sense, in the positive sense, more lobbying, more awareness, more be part of the political agenda and the lawmaking agenda will help many things. Of course, maybe want to help the specific chip shortage, but it will solve many other things. So I think as an industry, we should make the effort to do this step, and this is very much doable. You know, it can be done at country-specific level, at EU level, or whatever you know, the region you're in, of course. Every region have their own lawmaking body. So again, awareness and be on the political agenda is the next probably big thing.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Alessandro. Alessandro, what can you put in the pot here to make it easier?
First of all, the opportunities are, of course, to continue to invest and to develop, as was said, where the roots promise a big growth, and then make easier the work of the platform to develop the services along the territory. So it's important to maintain as a navigation during sailing, you have to go straight. So we are continuing investing. We are consolidating our strategy in the Mediterranean, because we believe Mediterranean, we all know that is in the middle of 3 continents and is one of the most important hub in the world. We know also that this was not predictable, that we should also try to take not advantage, but think deeply what the impact are when there is a war, because we just planned with the thought that there were no discontinuity. Everything was continuing as usual, as our business is, but war can impact, so we have to defend or to attack in case I'm talking about telecommunication. So when, for example, we need to think when we build up a data center, what can be in case a disruption or disaster, so be more reliable on the disaster recovery. Then I want just to separate the word making strategic alliance as to be separated is strategic alliance for growth, but many times in the telecommunication market is strategic alliance because of the consolidation of the market. So because the market is what it is the basket is there, and then you need to consolidate to reduce your costs. So I think we are not talking about strategic alliance when we say consolidation, because the consolidation of the market is a necessary step when you need to scale up and then to reduce your costs. That's a way that nothing strategic is the way how the industry can react when you have a lots of costs, people, and revenues that are flat, margin that are squeezing. Strategic alliance, as Enrico Bagnasco say, is something that indeed enforce the collaboration. Is something on which it's a complementary way of doing when there is, for example, a lack of skills. You don't have facilities that you need to develop your strategy, things like that. I believe in these markets there would never be an alliance, strategic alliance between submarine cables, for example, and data centers, because can be a sharing of cash, cost, investments, but cannot be a strategic alliance, because what we believe is let's continue platform to do the development of submarine cables. We develop the facility in the terrestrial area and try to be as much as possible neutral and open. So this is the way how we think the situation has to be developed. Of course, the network operators and Teodoro Diego said need to create a way in which they can be able to manage the calling, landing, everything in a way that has to be cheap and reliable. That's the way how they have to build it and then to offer to the platform provider. So that's what I think about strategic alliance.
Thank you, Alessandro. Franco, so what's your take on it, on you know, trying to, within partnerships, you know, to improve? How do you see? I mean, we heard a couple of things: transparency, you know, make sure there's less bureaucracy, and then get the people, get regulators and so on involved. But what's your take?
I mean, we are part of the same ecosystem. Okay, probably Enrico is the first step. I mean, the first and the initial step of the project.
Your fault again, you know?
No, it's not a fault. It's I mean, it's not a fault at all. But I mean, they initiate the process. The process for a subsea, the procedure for the subsea project deployment starts with cable. So we, as optical supplier, are the last. Enrico is the first. Maybe we are the last. Because first of all, we are not that much involved in all the bureaucracy and administrative tasks which are around the cable deployment. This is more from ASN, companies like ASN, companies like Sparkle, Retelit, for sure, like data center suppliers, service suppliers like Enrico. We are the last, let's say, mile of the entire project. But in any case, our cooperation with the carriers is a cooperation for this kind of project that need to last all the entire life cycle of technology, which is between 5 to 7 years, more or less. We are, I marry with what Diego was saying. It's important to establish a relationship, the transparency, and to build trust between companies and between people. We are proud and honored to be a supplier of Retelit from 15 years, more or less, and more or less the same also with Sparkle. And the fact that I was not on board, it's not only a matter of people, because as I said, people after some years, maybe they change job or they retire on a beach sometimes if they are lucky.
I do.
But on the other side is the company integrity, the company capability to create this kind of partnership that is tested and needs to be proved. I'm not saying like being married let's say in our private life, but in any case, there are in the year, also in the critical events, like in this moment where there are many challenges on the supply chain, on the logistics, because this is another very hot topic that we need to face, so we need to try to control. There are tests between this kind of partnership that are able to break this partnership or strengthen this partnership. Our task, one of my tasks, is to make sure that we keep this partnership as much as solid as possible. But it's based on, let's say, company capability to have let's say, to share the vision and a vision that meets our customer demand, which is in line with our customer demand, with the ecosystem demand, and the people that works in the company to make it concrete every day, every month.
I would like to add just simple communication. Just talk with each other and make sure it happens as much as possible, as fast as possible, because the demand is there and a target time to market was yesterday, right? That's what we understand. Okay, we need to go a little bit to wrapping up this session, because we have another session coming up as well, and we don't want to disappoint those people. So if I no sure, we're not done
just
yet.
In terms of partnership, is definitely, without partnership you go nowhere in the submarine cable business. You go nowhere, because here we're talking of permitting in the municipality with the backhaul, but the real issue that we have now is the international law, because we are connecting countries, continents, and today Mediterranean, for example, is our home base, if we can say, in Europe. Even in Mediterranean, putting a cable on your route has significant challenges that cannot be solved without the partnership that what we are facing now. I don't want to mention, because maybe we're a little bit late, what happens in the South China Sea or in other parts of the world, but these are definitely, without partnership, clearly we cannot go there. And I think we have developed a good relationship with most of the parties, all the parties that are here and worldwide. And there is no specific, I would say, suggestion that I can do it, but definitely we have to go step by step, and without transparency and partnership, nothing can be done in submarine cable business, in fact.
Okay, I want to stay with you, Enrico. So what is your outlook for the coming future? What can we expect in the submarine?
Well, we see still a big growth. We still see big growth. We need, is our task to make this challenge real, as in maybe anticipate it a little bit. We take a lot of risk, in fact, with our internally, with our business plan and so on, because the cost that we are facing to improve our facilities is a risk that we are taking. But if you take this risk of improving our manufacturing, improving our, I would say, asset, is based on the fact that we believe there will be a bigger future for the submarine cables, in fact. We mentioned about Africa. We have a different route, polar route, Southeast Asia to Australia to South Africa, route that are not yet implemented, but definitely with the extension of data, the spread of data center everywhere, need to have a protected route. We are still quite confident. Maybe there is some issues in the short term, but in the medium long term, we are still quite positive on that.
Okay, thank you. Diego, your glass ball prediction. If it's not possible, I know, but
no. Outlook, for sure, I see less OTT investment because they are getting less money from the advertising market, and for them is more risky to, let's say, be present massive in the cable system for the geopolitical issues. I see also that there is a need of different business modeling because of strategic value that is not today put into the system. So as now in some profit and loss, you are putting the ESG component, you should put the strategic components. We will see for sure more government involvement in the cable system. And recently in July, Saudi and Greece, they have announced the Eastern Mediterranean corridor that is in fact a cable where OTT presence is nil or officially nil. Same for the Vision cable from Saudi. So you have someone with some money in the pocket that is seeing the strategic investment and is putting money there, and is not a carrier. Carrier is just instrumental.
okay, thank you. I'll go to Rotash. What is your view? What's your outlook?
Yeah, I see the investment into the submarine cable industry is going to grow annually in the double digits. In fact, I was reading a research report yesterday, and they were shown like it's a kind of going to be $16 billion dollar industry in 2022, and which is going to be around 26 billion industry in 2026. So no doubt investment is going to be there, definitely. That's the reason we have seen so much demand, and there is like marine vessels operations are not available to meet that demand. And also I see there is a rising demand from the OTT players, especially like Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They are showing keen interest to be a partner into the new submarine cable system, especially if we see in the Middle East area, we are seeing that demand happening. Peace cable has just reaching RFS. Another cable like to Africa is coming inside the Gulf. Another talks are going on to build another cable system inside the Gulf, because the old cable systems people are still trying to increase their useful life, but there is a need of replenishing that inventory and that is there, and to build new multiple fiber pair cable systems. as it was shown earlier, like there is a demand of open cable systems. So there is no dependency on the with the other consortium partners for the upgrade of the cable systems, and then also demand from the OTTs of open access cable systems, because traditionally the cable has become limited to the CLS only, but there's a demand of increasing that to the data center. So I see the demand is definitely there. This is driven from the consumer side as well, be it for the individual because of the mobile broadband or like new kind of applications, be it AR, VR, gaming, and IoT. This kind of demand is going to be there. And Middle East or the Gulf region is particularly fertile for the cloud business, if I can say. So there is a lot of demand from the hyperscalers also in this demand, because the enterprise, after this pandemic, enterprise, there's increasing attenuation towards going to the more kind of cloud business. So I see that this is definitely here, going to there. Batelco, as their part, they have tried to revive the useful life of the cable system, that is one cable system fork that connects Bahrain to UAE. So they are trying to enhance the useful life of that cable, and also using the new technology, we are increasing the bandwidth into that cable system. Another terrestrial cable system that Batelco is there, that connects Kuwait, Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, and UAE. In that also, Batelco has got some good return on investment by utilizing it and by tapping the potential demand from the hyperscalers. There is another cable system which was announced by Batelco recently, that is the terrestrial cable system, low latency cable system from Data Mina in UAE to reaching all the way to Frankfurt with the 87 millisecond kind of latency. If we go by the traditional Egypt route, the latency is very high. So this is also another cable system where Batelco has invested. And in future also, Batelco looking forward to participate in more consortium cable systems. And where I think partnership, be it from the supplier side, be it from the OTT partner side, it is going to be of paramount importance, because and this partnership is required not from the funding point of view, but from the constraint point of view, because inside the Gulf, there is no international water, there is only territorial water. So partnership plays a very important role to land the cable in each country, because permitting requirement, be for the survey, be for during the installation of the cable, and be for the operation and maintenance of the cable for the that life, it plays a very important role. And it does not make any sense to put all the money and making a private cable systems, because diversity is the key requirement for not only from the OTT, but from the enterprise point of view as well. So partnership is going to play a crucial role. And as it was said by some other panel members as well, awareness has to be given at the political level or various government level, because sometimes we are getting so much delay into the obtaining the permits and the permission. So that need to be shown, because this cable plays a long-term role of development and contributing into the GDP, because once cable is connected to the country, a lot of activities which depend on that cable, be it from the any industry, be it for the education, be it for the healthcare, and be it from the finance or the banking. So it plays a very crucial role for the economy. So this also need to be taken care from that perspective.
Okay, thank you. And if I may invite Enrico for the last famous words for this panel session. What's your takeaway?
Well, if I look into the future, I believe, I hope, but also I believe that we will have better days ahead of us. On one hand, maybe we will be able to find a new balance between all the pieces of the puzzle, because in a way we are today, I think, also a bit unbalanced, like the market expectation are that we are ready tomorrow, while the reality is not. So maybe we need to rebalance a bit that. Again, through the awareness of the law-making bodies, I think a good part of the issues could be tackled. I'm not talking about technical issue, but I'm talking about, in any case, blocking issues. So I want to be positive. I also want to be positive for my own health.
And let's all go to the beach.
So,
huh?
to be able to go through it. And no, this is just a joke, of course. And yes, I think we are now, like, probably, I hope we are now at the very bottom of the crisis, and what's ahead of us is better days.
And with those words, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you dearly. And I would like to thank my panelists, Ratesh and Alessandro. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. And that applause was for the panelists. So thank you so much, Enrico, Sparkle. Thank you so much. And grab a coffee, stay tuned.